Sactown Sports
Headlines.
It's Houston again. The Kings are back in action tonight as they complete the back-to-back with the Rockets. As always, we will have you covered with all the action. Begins with game night at 5:30, followed by the pregame, and of course the G-Men with the tip-off at 7. All of the action jumps off following the Cattles and Ramie Show. In the NFL, Sean McVay alerted the organization today that he is returning to the Rams sideline and he will remain coach. Down the coast in L.A., the Chargers got some bad news regarding wide receiver Mike Williams as he suffered a small fracture in his back that will require him to be out 2 to 3 weeks as he will miss the wild card game. In baseball, tons of one-year deals got done today to avoid arbitrations. The Padres and Juan Soto, they agreed to a one-year deal for $23 million. Among others who reaped large paydays to avoid arbitration, Padres closer Josh Hader, he agreed to a deal worth $14.1 million. That's a record for a relief pitcher. Sacramento product and Phillies first baseman Rhys Hoskins, he agreed to a deal worth $12 million. And Ramie's second team, the Brewers, they agreed to the right-hander Brandon Woodruff for $10.8 million. And the Chicago White Sox, Lucas Giolito, he signed a deal for $10.4 million. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. Coming up, the Cattles and Ramie Show. They get you set for the Kings and the Rockets. That's next.
Not the boring, generic milquetoast stuff coming from the network in Connecticut.
I describe him as the best, obviously.
Cattles.
He throws it out there, speaks his mind. That's cool.
And Ramie.
He's supposed to make people laugh. He's just an expert at it.
Cattles and Ramie.
Live and local in the afternoon.
Sactown Sports.
What's happening? Positive vibes on a Friday with a long weekend ahead. Don't forget what Monday is all about. MLK Day. Got 2.5 hours.
Yes,
So
sir.
we've got a lot to squeeze into this show in little time. Of course, we've got the Niners playing tomorrow against the Seahawks, NFL playoffs, picks, over-unders. We've got guests.
Super wild card weekend.
So much stuff happening.
Super wild card weekend.
Frankie Cartoscelli will join us in less than a half hour to talk about the Kings. And let's talk about the Kings. Tonight is the halfway point, Ramie. Tonight is game number 41 of this season. Better than expected. This first half has been much better than I anticipated. My preseason prediction was 37-45. The Kings sit at 22-18, getting ready to play game 41. Fourth seed in the Western Conference. They're number 1 in the Pacific Division. Here was De'Aaron Fox the other night talking about reaching the halfway point.
I mean, Mike always says it. Feel like we can be even better. We've had slippage at times. We've lost games that we probably shouldn't have lost. So, for us, we're just continuing trying to grow together, trying to continue to get better, both offensively and defensively. So, it's good that we're fourth in the standings, but it's a long season. What game was this? 40? Yeah, game 40. So. One more game and we're halfway through the season. It's a marathon. We got a long way to go.
It is a marathon. But, Ramie, as we sit here getting ready to finish up the first half of the year tonight, what would be your number one takeaway from this first half?
That this is a legit playoff basketball team in the Sacramento Kings. What I think I'm at the point. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't know what a team is till the All-Star break. I don't know what they're going to prove to you that they haven't proven to already in the next 2 or 3 weeks. If you're still wondering if this is some kind of mirage or fool's gold, it's not, man. We looked at what Monty McNair put together before the season started, Nick, and we're looking at this thing and going, this could work. Like, they've got some pieces here and they've got some depth here that if Mike Brown puts people in the right place, in the right position, in the right roles, that this thing could work. And at the beginning of the season, I said this is a 40-win basketball team, which is sometimes good enough to get you in the playoffs, sometimes not, probably good enough to get you in the play-in. I've seen enough of this team, Nick. I've seen a lot of good basketball in my life, having grown up in Chicago, being in Milwaukee when the Bucks did what they did. I know a playoff basketball team when I see one. I watch the Kings play, and I see a playoff basketball team. This is no mirage. The other day, I said, are we still wondering if this is a playoff basket? Like, are we still talking about this like it's not a sure thing? And JJ and Chris were very, very quick to tell me, yeah, it's too early that confident or feeling that good about this basketball team. But I say, damn that, man. I know what a playoff basketball team looks like. I know what quality basketball looks like. And this team passes the eye test. You look at what this team has done in some of the statistical categories that you can look at. This is a very, very good basketball team. Legitimately, there's no question in my mind. D Fox is right. They can be better, as he said in that clip we just played. And that's the scary thing, is that I think they're still getting better, and there is room between where they are and what their ceiling is.
I think you made me a little more positive there, Ramie, because you said you know what a playoff team looks like.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know what a playoff team looks like for quite some time. So, okay, maybe I'll take your word for that.
I do want to make one quick correction. The Kings are the 5th seed because the Mavericks beat the Lakers last night.
Oh,
so
did
the Kings,
they drop back down?
The Kings are a half game behind the Mavs. But, they're right there. 4th, 5th seed in the West. Just want to make sure I got that right. And look, I think when you try to figure out how good a team can be before the season, there's so many unknowns. And as we watch this team through the first 40 games, getting ready for game 41 tonight, we've learned a lot about everybody on this team. And maybe we've learned more about some of the guys we thought we knew a lot about. And that's my number one takeaway. My number one takeaway, Ramie, is that Domas is better than I thought. I'll tell you a story. Going back a couple of years ago, I was doing some part-time radio in Boston. And at the time, Celtics fans were wondering if Jaylen Brown should be traded, right? Should Jaylen Brown be traded because he and Tatum were both wings, yada, 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 yada. And when we had those kinds of conversations a few years back in Boston, I would say that one of the only guys that I was actually willing to trade Jaylen for was Domas. And I said that because I loved Domas's game. I thought he was a really good player. When Halliburton, Domas, that trade happened last year, I was fine with it. I said, I'm good with it. I understood it because I liked Domas as a player. But even me, saying those things in the past, even me, I've been surprised by how good Domas has been. He's even better than I thought he was. And the major reason for that, Ramie, is because I've seen the growth potential within his game. Defensively, I thought he was at best average, man. I thought he was a bad defender.
That's where he's really surprised me. He's sort of anchoring their defense. And we talked with Doug Christie yesterday, and he said it's not just what he's doing in terms of protecting the paint and protecting the rim physically and getting in the way of good shots and swatting away good shots, but he's sort of the captain back there on the defense and telling everybody what he's seeing from his position, sort of like a deep safety would, where he has everything in front of him and he's shouting out and letting guys know what's happening and who's where and sort of running that defense. His defensive performance has been where he's really, really surprised me so far this year.
Yeah, defensively, he's been better. You just mentioned the communication and all of that. His rim protection, not all the time. He's not a super athlete. He's not going to block a ton of shots, but his verticality and his ability to stick with guards and wings has been at a higher level than I anticipated. And also his shooting range. He's shown the ability to shoot the three. He's not spectacular at it, but it's no longer a situation where he gets the ball from three-point land and he's ready to launch. And I go, oh, no. It's not that kind of situation anymore, right? He's been able to hit the 15 to 18 footer. So the growth within his game, I also think you mentioned the communication. He's a better leader than I thought he was. And I thought he was a good leader just by, how he plays and how hard he works. But his communication on the floor is a huge thing, I believe. His communication off of the floor. Early on in this season, Ramie, when people might have had low expectations for this team, when they were losing some tough games, Domas was the guy that came out and said, we can't lose these kinds of games. Mm-hmm. We at some point, we have to learn how to win and start winning these games. He was the guy at the front of the line setting that tone.
Yeah. And he's also one of the guys. Have you seen his Instagram post? We talk about like keeping things light and fun and to get you through a 82. His social media stuff is hilarious. Some of his Instagram posts after some of these wins. And he does seem to be one of the guys who really kind of keeps it light and keeps things fun in the locker room and in practice. And I think that's big, man. I think that's in basketball and in baseball. I think it's really important to have those guys in the locker room and at practice. Malik Monk, we talked to a couple of coaches who said he's sort of that guy that keep things fun and fresh so it doesn't get stale and you don't get tired of that day-to-day grind and playing, in the case of the NBA, 3, 4, 5 games in a week.
Want your thoughts on this, your number one takeaway from the Kings first half as we get ready for game number 41 tonight against the Rockets on the back-to-back at Golden 1. 916-339-1140 is the text line. The phone number is 1-800-920-1140. Of course, you can hit us up at the chat on the YouTube channel, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. And when you swing by, make sure you like.
Are you where I'm at in terms of this is legit? Like, we can stop wondering. It's a matter of how good a playoff team they are, not whether or not they're a playoff caliber basketball team.
I think they've looked
play thing.
I think they've looked like a playoff team. Yes. I think the first half they have certainly looked like a playoff team. How other teams will react and how they will, scout the Kings and maybe some other things that could happen here down the road with trades and such. Right now, yes, I would say they do look like a playoff team. Some of the reaction here, the YouTube channel, again, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Mr. All Red Everything says, Mike Brown, legit coach of the year candidate. And Philip Cole jumps on that as well and says, my takeaway is we have a great coach.
Yeah, he's definitely a coach of the year candidate. I haven't heard so much buzz about that with everything else that goes on with the Kings. And you were right, Nick, when you're talking the other day about sort of the narrative and the perception of the Kings changing when you look at people who talk about this game and other coaches and players and what they have to say about the Kings. But you don't hear enough chatter about Mike Brown in the coach of the year conversation. And it's still early. Like, we're not really deep or heavy into those conversations yet, but I've seen some of the lists as we get to the halfway point and people want to put together their awards lists. Some radio show is going to do that later on today, but I don't see Mike Brown on very many or at the top of very many coach of the year lists that I've seen when I'm poking around and reading about the NBA.
Joseph Monta says his takeaway is the fact that over under 34.5 wins looks really silly. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was low to begin with. We talked about that before the season. I thought they were a few games off. Again, I predicted 37 wins. So it wasn't like I thought it was laughable, but sitting there at 22 with a chance to beat the Rockets tonight and back-to-back games at home to go to 23 wins, yeah, that over-under number certainly looks a little silly. 916-339-1140 is the text line. Don't forget, again, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. We have Frankie C coming up in about 15 minutes. But first, Seahawks Niners tomorrow. How we feeling? Find out in 90 seconds.
The only place you'll find Kevin Herter. Your afternoon home for Kings talk and more.
This is Cattles and Ramie
on Sactown Sports.
3:14 on this Friday. Time check. Brought to you by West Coast Men's Health Acoustic Wave Therapy. Again, we'll get back to the Kings in 15 minutes with Frankie Cartoscelli from SactownSports.com. But Ramie, this weekend, NFL playoffs begin, the super wild card weekend.
Super wild card weekend.
Can't wait. Thanks, Bart Scott. The first game, of course, this weekend is the game that most of us care about, and that is the Niners Seahawks down in Santa Clara. And, this is the third meeting of the year between these two teams. Niners have won the first two. How much does that matter? Like, how much does familiarity matter? how much does you playing a team, same team, third time this year, how much does that matter? Well, here was Niners coach Kyle Shanahan talking about that.
I mean, maybe we had to do it 3 days in a row, but I look at it as we only have to beat them once because there's no more in a row. Everything behind us doesn't matter, and it's a one-game season right now. So we got to beat them this week one time, and then I'll allow us to move to next week.
So Shanahan doesn't think it's that big of a deal. We had Rob Stats Guerrera on the show yesterday. I asked Stats if it's a big deal. Here's what he said.
I think that beating a team 3 times in the same season doesn't matter. I think that's pretty overrated. There have been 18 times where a team beat somebody twice in the regular season and then hosted them in a playoff game. The team that hosted that game has won 13 of those 18 games. So it's not as tough as people think.
Not a big deal, Ramie?
I think that says it all. I think what Stats said right there says it all. I think that's something. I don't know if it ever was a thing. Maybe in previous eras of the NFL, it was a thing, but it always seemed to me like that was kind of media created narrative of, hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. I mean, 13 of 18 teams have done it when they had home field advantage. That sort of says it all. When over the course of an NFL season, teams are completely different 4 or 5 weeks from the last time you might have seen them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the Seahawks and the 49ers, I don't think it has very much bearing on this week's game at all.
I don't think the Niners, if they lose this game, I don't think it's because they're playing the Seahawks for the 3rd time this year. I think if they lose, it's because they played a bad game.
Right.
The Niners are a more talented team. It's obvious that they have more talent than Seattle does. There's no debate with that. Now, the question is, quarterback, Brock Purdy, this is going to be his first career playoff game. We all know playoffs, different than the regular season. Here was Purdy this week about playing tomorrow.
Right now, I'm looking at it like, man, we got the Seahawks. Yes, it's a playoffs, but for myself, I got to do my job. I'm not trying to, think about the storybook ending with anything like that. Man, I got a great defense I got to play on Sunday. I got to do my job in terms of getting the guys the ball, and all that will fall into place.
Now, when I look at this, I know we're going to spend a lot of, time and pay a lot of attention to Purdy over the next 24 hours. And, he's going to lead off a lot of these conversations. But to me, the run game matters the most tomorrow.
Especially if the weather is what it's looking like it's going to be.
It is supposed to be terrible out tomorrow. So, weather-wise, first and foremost, running the football is going to be paramount to success during the game. So, yes, the weather is going to play a gigantic role. Secondly, I've talked about this, trying to stay ahead of the chains for Brock in the playoffs against good teams, against good defenses. Now, I don't think Seattle is a very good defense, but they're better than some of the teams that Brock has played against, and Brock played against them earlier in the year. But when you look at this, stay ahead of the chains. You get good run game, early downs. You're looking at 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 3. That's what you want for a rookie quarterback starting in his first playoff game. You want those down and distance scenarios to play out. And I'd also say, Ramie, don't get it twisted. The bread and butter of a Kyle Shanahan offense will always be the run game. They might not be as good as they've been in the past, when you were comparing them, especially pre-CMC trade. But Kyle Shanahan lives with the run game. And so if they can get their run game cracking tomorrow, then I don't think we should be, overly concerned or focused on Brock Purdy and what he does.
The Seahawks aren't a very good defense. You're right. But in the Brock Purdy era, Nick.
Can we call that?
In the Brock Purdy era, the Seahawks gave him the most trouble of any team that they've seen so far this year. They held him to 21 points in week 15 when they saw Brock Purdy. And you're talking about keeping the chains moving or staying ahead of the chains. They forced San Francisco into 6 third down attempts of 7 yards or more and 4 of 11 plus yards. And we played the clip from Steve Young yesterday.
Yes.
Or was it just a quote that we read? Anyways, he was saying 2 different things. But one of the things that he said, which I thought was accurate, is that his degree of difficulty on the throws he's making is not that high very often.
Right.
And I think that when the longer you're talking about third downs being, the higher the degree of difficulty that you're asking Brock Purdy to make those throws, and the harder you're making his job, and the more you're asking of him in terms of the weight he carries in winning the football game, especially if the weather is bad. Asking him to go out there and convert on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11. You know what I mean? That's a recipe for failure. That's a recipe for losing this game tomorrow. And I'm on the exact same page with you. That's the number one thing in winning that game tomorrow, is staying ahead of those chains and not asking Brock Purdy to complete high degree of difficulty throws and converting big, long 3rd downs.
Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports. And defensively, when you look at the Niners, look, stop the run, right? Kenneth Walker is one of the best players on the Seahawks roster. You have been able to contain him through the first 2 games this year. Walker has less than 60 yards rushing against the Niners this season. And if you keep Walker at 50 to 60 yards, you have to feel really, really good about your chances of winning tomorrow, because, again, the weather is going to play a role. I don't think we're going to see either team chuck and duck tomorrow. We're not going to see a lot of risks taken downfield. And when we talk about the Niners offense, as you just did, yes, it is predicated on the safe pass, quote unquote, for the most part, right? It's run game, it's safe pass, it's yak. That's what it's about. The Seahawks have to establish the run. If they can't establish the run, to put this game on Geno Smith's shoulders against Nick Bosa and this defensive line in that kind of weather is not, I can guarantee you this, it is not what Pete Carroll wants to do tomorrow.
I think you mean single season passing leader in Seahawks franchise history, Geno Smith.
Fact.
I think that's what you meant to. Who
Yes.
put that in our group chat? That literally shocked me when I saw that Geno Smith is the all-time single season passing leader in Seahawks history. What?
Oh, yeah, that was me.
All those years that Russell Wilson had, Geno Smith comes in and just.
But that was the reason about the cooking thing, right? Carroll didn't want him to cook. Everybody wanted Russell to cook. Then Russ cooked for like half a year and it went okay. And then, things kind of fell off.
Letting Geno cook. Geno's cooking.
Kind of.
More than Russell ever cooked.
Kind of. I have a
More
feeling
than Russ ever cooked.
If Kenneth Walker was, the starting running back to begin this season, I don't think Geno would have been cooking
You don't
as
think
much
he's
as he
holding
could.
that record?
No.
As we sit here
No.
today?
And if you look at the Niners defense, again, Bosa, it starts with him. He's very good against the run. We get wrapped up into like all the sack numbers and stuff, but he holds the edge. He contains the edge. He's really good against the run. This defensive line, if they can work together cohesively, which they have been able to, and slow Walker down like they have before this year, if that is what happens, then I just have a tough time seeing Seattle move the football. And one more thing, the Niners are healthy, and that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, JJ can probably give you the roll call of people that have missed playoff games for this team the last few years. They're healthy. They're healthy almost across the board. So you have a healthy Niners team, a talented Niners team. The weather, not going to lie, it could throw everything off.
That's the X factor. Here.
Yes.
That's the X factor in this game, and what could have this game go the way that you wouldn't think it's going to go on paper.
Because all it takes is 1 or 2 turnovers in a playoff game.
They lost to the Bears in week 1 because they played that game in a monsoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You turn the
worst
ball over.
team in the NFL. They lost to him because of the rain.
Turn the ball over. You got Purdy, who, might be thinking about things a little bit going into his first playoff game. Dealing with the weather is it's an obstacle that you just didn't really want to deal with. It does throw a wrinkle into the situation. But again, the Niners are absolutely the more talented team. You just got to take care of the football and hope the weather doesn't mess you up too much. And if so, then you're going to feel pretty good about your chances. 916-339-1140 is the text line. Phone numbers, 1-800-920-1140. Don't forget, you can check us out online on Twitter at Sactown1140. You can follow the brand there. What's going on with Monty McNair's contract? We'll have that and more with Frankie Cartoscelli coming up next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
At Folsom Lake Honda, in addition to great prices on new Hondas, we stock the best selection of quality pre-owned vehicles, and each one of those vehicles is priced to sell now.
With new cars in high demand, Folsom Lake Honda has a great selection of quality one-owner trades with low miles, and each is priced to sell now. Every used vehicle on the lot comes with a Carfax vehicle history report and has passed a safety inspection. Shop our entire selection at FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated? It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
Folks, there's been some fumbles on the way to the big game, but he's been getting some help to get it done tonight. Here's the throw. And he's off to the races. He might go all the way. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10, touchdown. He did it, folks. He did it.
Regain and optimize your sexual performance. Drug-free.
SoFi. Sean McVay alerted the organization today that he's returning to the Rams sideline and will remain head coach. While the Chargers got some bad news regarding wide receiver Mike Williams, as he suffered a small fracture in his back that will require him to be out 2 to 3 weeks. He will not be available for this week's game. Lastly, the AP released their all-pro first and second teams earlier today. 2 players earned unanimous selections, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce and wide receiver Justin Jefferson. 4 49ers made the first team. Left tackle Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and safety Talanoa Hufanga. While Sauce Gardner of the New York Jets, he became the first rookie corner to make the first team All-Pro since Ronnie Lott in 1981. George Kittle and George Odom, special teamer of the 49ers, they made the second team. For the Raiders, Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, they made the first team, as did their kicker, Daniel Carlson. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. Coming up, talk a little more Kings with Frankie C. It's the Cattles and Ramie Show.
It's time to get caught up on what's going on in Kings Nation. And who better to do it than our guy, Frankie C.
It's our Kings Cowboy Frankie Cartoscelli.
Time to check out CoSab Medical Clinic, dedicated to providing breakthrough remedies for men. Ramie, we should feel blessed today.
Every day.
Frankie C has actually decided to join us today.
Oh, very kind.
He's been off and on this season. He's been off and on. When we began this year, it was supposed to be Frankie on Fridays, right? Fridays with Frankie. And Frankie has become very difficult to book for this show. So I feel lucky and fortunate and blessed, Frankie, that you actually had the 10 minutes today to spend with us, to grace us with your voice on this show.
Thank you, Frankie. So kind.
Well, come on. When the Kings are winning this much, it's tough, guys. Come on, it's tough. But I always make time for you, always. And you can blame my brother who was visiting. He's in the Air Force. He's visiting. You can blame him for that last time. But the guy, he wanted. I had to see my brother. What can I do?
That's fair.
10-minute phone call.
I guess
10-minute phone call.
I guess family.
Frankie's on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. All right, Frankie, we're at the halfway point officially tonight. What's your grade for this team so far?
Oh, I mean, it's got to be an A. I mean, I don't think that anyone coming into the season, and even me, who I'm not the most pessimistic Kings fan. I try to think on the positive side, more times than not. But my prediction coming into the season was, I think, 40-42. And, tonight here we are. Kings are sitting at 22, maybe 23 end of the night. Who knows? But they are already going to railroad that preseason over of 34.5 wins. And I do think that Monty McNair and Mike Brown have done a great job with this team. And the roster has been constructed. I mean, the team right now obviously is number one in the NBA in scoring. They are a complete juggernaut on that end. And I've been impressed. And it seems like each time they've kind of gotten punched and fallen down, they lose 2 in a row to Atlanta and Los Angeles. They come right back and they win 2 games that they should win, but they win them in convincing fashion by 20-plus points. So a lot to go. A lot of seasons left to be played. There's still half the season to go, but I don't know how you can sit here on January 13th and not be happy with how they played so far, because they've been pretty impressive.
Frank, you say you tend to lean optimistic. Let's see if you're as optimistic as I am. I said to start the show today that I'm convinced that this is a legitimate playoff basketball team. I know how tight the standings are. Like you said a second ago, a lot of basketball left to be played. Despite all that, the eye test, when I watch this Kings basketball team, I look at it and I say, that's an NBA playoff basketball team right there. Are you with me? Or are you still wondering if this is some sort of mirage or fool's gold?
Well, that's something I mean, hearing from people like you, Ramie, and Nick, guys that have watched winning basketball teams. I mean, I have not seen the Kings win much in my years. I have not seen the Kings win be in the playoffs much in my 28 years. So I'm not really sure, but I do think from the eye test, to me, yeah. I mean, I think that they to me right now, and the players believe it too. They think that they are a playoff team, not playing playoff. I was talking to Terrence Davis today, and he said that they all think they can host a playoff game. And I don't know if he meant playoff series by that, but that's kind of where they are right now. They're towing around that 4 or 5 range. But the guys in the locker room believe it. And I think some of the fans, a portion of the fan base do too. And yeah, there's that side of the fan base that they're scarred, and how could you blame them? It's been almost 20 years and the Kings haven't even sniffed the playoffs. But right now, and everyone out there should knock on wood, pending health, they have the pieces to make a run. I mean, as long as Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox are both out there playing with this team, they're tough to stop. And they have the guys that can go out there and make life difficult for you. It was Trey Lyles the other night, 15 points in the fourth quarter. They've had Malik Monk step up time after time again. They have Kevin Huerter, who's been a huge piece of this team. It doesn't matter. And any given night, there could be a different guy that can beat you. And it's going to come down to defense, and that's the biggest thing that playoff teams have. As we know, you have to play defense to make the playoffs and win in the playoffs. The Kings need to take a step forward on that end of things. But obviously that's where Monty McNair comes into play, and Mike Brown, who's a defensive-minded coach. Can they get the pieces that will fit and kind of plug that hole? But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that this is a playoff team. And I think that myself personally, I've shifted my mindset from can this team make the play-in? I've shifted it to can this team stay in the top 6, because I've watched some wild card baseball games in my life, and they're not a fun time. And I think Kings fans would really enjoy it if they didn't have to worry about your season coming down to one game in a play-in. So I think that people should kind of raise their expectations a little bit, because the Kings have played well enough to put themselves in that conversation.
Frankie Cartoscelli with us here on Cattles and Ramie. Frankie, you mentioned Trey Lyles going off in the fourth quarter on Wednesday night. Ramie and I talked about this yesterday. We both think it's time for Coach Brown to settle on an 8 or 9 man rotation at this point. Do you think it's time for the coach to settle on that rotation?
Yeah, I think that's something that you could see happen in the near future, especially as we get later into the season. I don't think that Mike Brown's going to be playing 10, 11 players in March and April, but we don't know what the rotation might look like in March and April is the main problem. I mean, this team could look different. I'm in the camp where I don't want them to make any drastic changes. I think that this team, the way it's constructed right now, I think that trading someone like Harrison Barnes away could damage the morale and damage the chemistry. But you need to upgrade the backup center spot. It's something that you absolutely have to do. If you go through the deadline without upgrading the backup center position, it's a loss of a deadline. But yeah, I mean, Trey Lyles is a guy that deserves to be in that rotation. We've seen players like Rashawn Holmes and Chimezie Metu. They come and go in the rotation, but you have your key guys. And right now, Trey Lyles has pushed himself into that conversation. He's been nails over the past 10 games or so. I mean, I think he's been shooting around 40% from 3. He's averaging around 6 rebounds per game. He had 6 rebounds in 2 blocks in the fourth quarter alone last game. And he's someone who lost weight in the offseason to be more versatile and be more active on the offensive end. And that's paid dividends for him. And he's someone that even Mike Brown has played at the backup center spot when guys like Rashawn Holmes and Chimezie Metu haven't been able to carry their own weight. So I do think that the rotation is going to be rounded out, especially if this team is in a playoff position late, because you know that many playoff teams, they don't have expansive rotations. That's something that's going to have to be consolidated as the season goes on, but got to get that backup center position figured out.
We heard already that Monty McNair was going to get an extension in early 2023. That's a vague window, early 2023. That I guess that could be anytime between now and the end of March. Do you know? Do you have any idea? Have you heard any whispers how close we are to Monty McNair getting a much deserved extension? Because every day that goes by, I think Kings fans are wondering if this thing is going to get done.
Yeah, I mean, every day that goes by, Monty McNair is, I mean, that check has to get a little bigger and bigger. But I do think I'm not sure, and that's the scary thing. I'm not sure. I mean, Mark Stein, who is a lot more plugged in and has been around the game for a long time, he did have that report a couple weeks ago saying that Monty McNair was expected to get his extension. But I think the expectation that I've been hearing just around just people that know the game and have been involved with the game, they expect it to get done. Now, when will it get done? That's the question, because the Kings, as we know, they're playing winning basketball. We're not generally early in the season right now. So that price tag is going to get bigger for Monty McNair, and that's something that it kind of scares you if you're a Kings fan or someone that cares about this team, because he's such a huge hand in building this team into a winner. If he were to go on to other pastures, that's something that I think would be a pretty big loss, and especially with what he's done. So I do think it gets done. My hunch is it gets done before the end of the season. When or why it's taken this long, I can't say, but I do think that Monty McNair ends up in Sacramento for the long being.
Thanks, Frankie. We appreciate you, man. Enjoy the weekend, my friend.
Happy Friday, guys. And also, if you're coming out to the game tonight, please be safe. It's nasty. Yeah, please be safe. But hopefully we get another win tonight and finish this homestand on a high note. But thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. There goes Frankie Cartoscelli from SactownSports.com. Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Yeah, my drive-in was not fun. Not fun at all.
I was wondering how that drive-in would be and whether or not I'd be starting the show flying solo.
I mean,
Okay.
time-wise, I did pretty well. But
Okay.
it's just, all sorts of things happen when it's raining and people reacting certain ways behind the wheel.
You mean people don't know how to drive in the rain around
yes.
here?
I was trying to be nice.
That's what you mean to say. Yeah.
Somebody was going like 25 on the
It's
highway.
unnecessary.
I'm like, what are you
dude.
doing?
It's
You're
very
like 25.
It's unnecessary. Your
If
tires
you-
are designed to go through this. It's fine. You're gonna be fine.
Like if you can't drive faster than 25 when it's raining, just don't drive on that day. Like
But
stay
you
home.
said I had to come in.
Well, get somebody to drive you because you're holding up everybody else behind you. This person literally had a long line behind them because they decided to go 25. I'm like, what? And they were in the left lane, of course. Like, get in the right lane if you're going to go 25.
Did you go by and give them the look?
No.
Who is this?
No, I didn't.
You gotta
I
give
saw
them the look.
somebody on their phone, and I'm like, dude, this weather. First of all, I hate people on the phone while they drive. But with this weather, put the phone down. What are we doing? An NFL head coach will not admit his huge mistake. We'll get to that in our NFL picks coming up.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Bonnie.
I'm Mark Finan in the KCRA3 Weather Center. We'll see a few showers as we head through the evening hours tonight. A steady rain comes our way tomorrow, as well as a gusty wind. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA3 News and the KCRA3 app.
When it's cold and rainy outside, everyone knows Bonnie is leading the way home. Right now, stay warm and cozy with a $79 furnace tune-up. Plumbing, sewer, electrical, heating, and air. Schedule an appointment today at Bonnie.com.
Folsom Lake Ford has trucks. The F-150s are here. Explorers, Expeditions, and a huge selection of Broncos and Bronco Sports. They're in stock now at Folsom Lake Ford. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters right here in Sacramento for your favorite Ford models at good, fair prices. Short on cash? Buy any new Ford with zero down. Save big with low interest finance rates. Plus, Folsom Lake Ford is paying top dollar for all trades. We want your vehicle regardless of mileage or condition. This could be the best time to buy a new Ford. Check out the huge inventory online at FolsomLakeFord.com or stop by the dealership and see the most recent arrivals. Looking for something special? Give them a call and tell them Doug Christie sent you. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall, your trusted dealer, my trusted dealer for over 30 years. FolsomLakeFord.com.
Zero down with approved credit. On behalf of everyone at SMUD, we thank you for your patience while our crews work around the clock to safely restore power and repair damage caused by the unprecedented string of recent storms. The extremely destructive high winds, unrelenting rain, flooding, and saturated ground resulted in extended multi-day power outages. We sincerely apologize and will continue to work 24/7 until all power is safely restored. More storms are on the way. For help getting prepared, visit smud.org/storms.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all areas. Actual Pi customer.
As a small business, we're always looking for ways that we can offer the quality product and get some cost savings.
Meet Michelle from J.J. Pfister Distilling Company, a small business in California. When looking for workers' comp coverage tailored to the company's needs, she discovered Pi Insurance.
We heard about Pi Insurance being geared for a small business, gave Pi a call, and ended up switching.
Is your small business overpaying for workers' comp insurance? See how much you could save at trypi.com. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate, so your workers' comp audit experience is simplified.
We saved about 30% off of our workers' comp insurance when we switched to Pi.
It's as easy as pie to get the savings you deserve. What are you waiting for? Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote in 3 minutes at trypi.com. That's TRYPIE.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. You've heard me talk with my friend Shelby about real estate for a long, long time. You know what? Shelby's main goal? He just wants to help you save money no matter how. So what is Shelby doing right now with the real estate market all over the place? He's pivoting. Solarwithshelby.com. And you might be saying like, oh God, solar. No, listen, Shelby's got it dialed in, especially if you're a PG&E customer. He can save you 30 to 50% off your bill, 30% federal tax credit, dollar for dollar. It comes back in cash. Protect yourself from inflation. These numbers could be going up and up and up. 100% financing. Yeah, they've got it. Nothing down, 30% tax credit, 25-year guarantee. What more do you need? Go to solarwithshelby.com. That's what you need. You need solar. Solarwithshelby.com. Save yourself some money today and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
I'm in the great outdoors doing a little Dodge watching with 1 mile at a time during the afternoon drive. Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Thanks for being with us as always. Busy day. Got the playoffs starting tomorrow in the NFL, Niners, Seahawks. Of course, we got the Kings tonight against the Rockets. It's kind of a 2-game series. It's still weird to me when you play the same team
That
twice
is
in a
odd,
row.
isn't it? That's a scheduling oddity.
Well, not anymore. The COVID season kind of changed it. So now you have at least a few of those series every year. So
Okay.
you're gonna see this continue, the whole back-to-back idea.
I love it.
I know the Kings host the Mavericks in February. We talked about it yesterday, right? Back-to-back games. And that was on a Friday, Saturday. So you play on a Friday night, and then you come back to the arena the very next night to play the same team.
It's kind of practice for playoff series though, because that's the only other time where you'll necessarily see the same team in 2 nights or 3 nights. You know what I mean? And the counter of that, of the adjustments that you're going to make and adjustments to adjustments, et cetera, et cetera. So there, I guess that's a positive or a silver lining to take out of it, but I generally don't like it.
All right, before we get to the NFL picks this week, Mike Williams of the Chargers is going to miss the game against the Jaguars this weekend. He's going to be out at least 2 to 3 weeks with a fracture in his back. I remind you that Mike Williams last weekend played in a game that was completely and utterly meaningless for his football team. And Brandon Staley, who the head coach of the Chargers, he came out after the game and, he said, we don't really regret what we did. And he also said, I think early this week, well, we only have 48 guys to play, as if he could not make some of these guys inactive and call up dudes from the practice squad or sign somebody else from the practice squad. I digress. But here was Staley today.
I stand behind what we did in that football game. I think, all my players are really important to me. And there were a lot of players that were, playing in that game that were in harm's way. That's just the nature of football. And it's very difficult to decide who plays and who doesn't and who's more valuable than the rest. And what you're trying to do is set a standard for your program about how you do things. And that's what I believe in. And I didn't want anybody to get hurt in that game, regardless of their status, because everybody's important. We're just hoping Mike gets back, but we're going to be ready to play on Saturday.
Do you say status or status?
Status.
Yeah,
I'm
me
a
too.
normal person.
Status is weird.
What do you mean status?
That was
status.
That was so bad. That was.
You said that was today. That was him speaking today.
I believe that was today.
Was that before or after the Mike Williams news was made public?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know the time check on it. We live in the West Coast, so I'm not really sure when the news came out on the East Coast. I'm not sure. All I know is, the idea of like, oh, everybody's important. Will you stop that? Everybody on the team's important, but there are players on teams that are more important than others.
Yes.
Okay. I love myself some Terrence Davis. He's entertaining. He can knock down some threes. De'Aaron Fox is much more important than Terrence Davis. I hate to break it to anybody out there. So that's just so weak. It was a hideous decision. Mike Williams is one of the most important players on this team because of his impact on the offense. It was a bad decision. And Staley's just not going to own up to it. He's going to give us these cliches of, football's a violent game and a physical game. You could get hurt every week. But, dude, it's just amazing to me. And Mike Williams is hurt. And he still had Justin Herbert out there playing in the third quarter after he saw, what are we doing? Just bad.
It makes no sense.
Just bad.
It makes
all
no
around.
sense whatsoever. I remember once I was in a college football locker room, Nick, and there was writing across that took up almost 2 walls and scrolled across. And it said, you won't all be treated the same because you're not all the same. Like there are guys on the roster that have more value to a team and to winning than other guys on the roster. And you know what? Almost every guy on the roster understands that. Almost every single guy on the roster understands that, including the guy who's sent out there to play to make sure that the guy that's more important to winning doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He knows his role.
It's dribble. That's all it is. It's just head coach blah.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody's important. And, I'm not going to sit one guy because if I got to sit one guy, I got to sit all 48. No, you don't. No, you don't. There are tiers.
It makes no sense.
As Conor McGregor said, there are levels to this. Like, there are levels to your players. Everybody knows that. Like Ramie just said, the players know it. All right, let's get to the NFL picks.
Did Conor McGregor say that or did J. Cole say that? I thought it was J. Cole.
I don't know if J. Cole, they both might have said it. Okay. J. Cole might have taken it from Connor. I don't really know. All right. You love asking me questions I have no idea how to answer in this segment. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, good. You want to ask me what the weather's going to be in March 15th?
I'm just asking, man. I don't know.
All right, so are we going to do like a different point system? We talked about that.
We did say
week.
we want to put more importance on picking playoff games. I don't know exactly how we do that.
My guess would be 2 this round, 4 next round.
Yeah.
Each game is worth 2 points here, so to speak. All right, here we go. Seahawks, Niners, -9.5.
Niners are a 9.5-point favorite. That's a big number. They win. They don't win by 10. I'm taking the Seahawks plus the 9.5.
I'm also taking the Seahawks. I don't know the weather coming out.
Yeah, same thing, weather.
Wow, that's from somebody who hates the Seahawks, especially.
I can't say anything bad about the Seahawks because I won my fantasy football championship.
I'm going to be that guy on the island. I'm going Niners -9.5. Run game will be good. Short passing game will be fine. And I think the Niners will stop Kenneth Walker in that Seahawks run game. Chargers -2.5 at the Jags.
You know what? Jags kind of my sleeper in the playoffs this year, man. I think they win that game, not just cover the 2.5. Give me the Jags.
I also think that the Jags are going to win.
So Verlad's got the Jags too.
I'm staying Cali. I think the Chargers win. I don't believe in the Jags.
All right, I'll make it a 3 out of 4. I'm going to go with the Jags. Mike Williams, I'm telling you, his absence hurts that offense. That offense is not the same with him out. Dolphins at the Bills. Bills, you want to talk about big number. -13.
Ooh, I think they cover it though. No Tua. It's in Buffalo. Yeah, I think that's a blowout victory for Buffalo, and they cover that number.
I also got Buffalo. What's Miami going to do?
Yeah.
What's a plan?
Who's their quarterback? Who's their starter?
Skylar Thompson.
Skylar Thompson. All right.
It's your guy, Rami.
Oh, love Skylar Thompson.
JJ.
Yeah, Bills. Easy. I think this is 21 plus.
Clean sweep. Don't be surprised if DeMar Hamlin shows up and gets that stadium all fired up before kickoff.
I know you just got upset that I did this a second ago, but isn't there an actress by the name of Skylar Thompson?
I don't know.
Okay.
You have Google. You have a computer right in front of you. You can answer all of these questions you've asked me by just Googling.
I'm afraid that's an actress I shouldn't Google at work.
Oh, well, didn't say that.
It'll be blocked out. Come on. All right, so we got Giants at Vikings. Vikings -3.
Vikings, this one came down to the last second last time these two teams played. Huh? I'm going to say the Vikings cover the 3, but I don't feel great about it. I think it's going to be right around there. I'm going to say they cover the 3.
I don't believe in the Vikings. I think the Giants are going to win this.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
Ooh, that's
look at our guy Verlad.
I think the Vikings sneak by the hairs of my chinny chin chin. I think it is 3, so I'm gonna say they don't cover. The Giants.
I say the Vikings cover barely. I could see this being like a 3-point game, and then with a late cover with a field goal and winning by like 6. Vikings find ways to win somehow, some way, and Daniel Jones' first playoff game on the road. I'll take the Vikings. Ravens at the Bengals. Bengals -8.5. No Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no Lamar. 8.5 still seems like a. I'm going to take the Bengals plus the 8.5.
I'm going to take the Ravens. I think the Bengals win, but I think they cover.
Yeah, I was trying to hurry up and go back to what the score was last week. It was where we at? We're at 27-16. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Ravens. I think the Bengals win, but I think the Ravens fall within that point difference.
I'll go with the Ravens getting 8.5. Cincy, they tend to play with their food a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of let Baltimore hang around. Last one, Cowboys -2.5 at Tampa.
Cowboys are favored in this one? Really?
Yes.
I think Tampa wins, not just covers the 2.5. I think they win.
I also think Tampa wins.
That makes 3 of us. I think Brady pulls a rabbit out of his hat.
Makes 4 of us.
All right.
We all got Tommy at home against
that.
the Dallas Cowboys. So there you have it. Our NFL picks for super wild card weekend. Super duper wild card weekend. YouTube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. You can visit us there. And when you swing by, very little effort from you helps us get more eyeballs to the product, because YouTube will not let us just go out there and say hello to everybody. We have to defeat their algorithm. So the way you can help us doing that is just clicking the like button, the thumbs up button. That would help us out tremendously. Kings at the halfway point. Up next, we give our first half awards out.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
For your
The flagship station of your Sacramento Kings.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports. Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
It's Houston again. The Kings are back in action tonight as they complete the double dip with the Rockets. As always, we have you covered with all the action here on Sac Sports 1140. The action kicks off following the Cattles and Ramie Show. Game night begins the coverage with Scott Marsh and HT Henry Turner. The pregame show follows that, which leads up to the tip at 7 o'clock with the G-Man Gary Gerald on the call. The festivities jump off at 5:30. Spinning over to the NFL down the coast in L.A., we have some news from both teams occupying SoFi. Sean McVay alerted the organization today that he's returning to the Rams sideline and will remain head coach, while the Chargers got some bad news regarding wide receiver Mike Williams, as he suffered a small fracture in his back that will require him to be out 2 to 3 weeks. He will not be available for this week's game. Lastly, the AP released their all-pro first and second teams earlier today. 4 49ers made the first team. Left tackle Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and safety Talanoa Hufanga, George Kittle, and George Odom, special teamer of the 49ers, they made the second team. For the Raiders, Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, they made the first team, as did their kicker, Daniel Carlson. Switching over to the Diamond, a few guys signed one-year deals to avoid arbitration. The Padres and Juan Soto agreed to a one-year deal for $23 million. Padres closer Josh Hader, he also agreed to a deal worth $14.1 million, a record for a relief pitcher. Sacramento product and Phillies first baseman Reese Hoskins, he agreed on a deal worth $12 million. And the Chicago's White Sox righty Lucas Giolito, he agreed to a $10.4 million deal to stay with the team. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. It's 4 o'clock, which means more of the Cattles and Ramie Show.
Live and local in the afternoon.
They always keep you on edge.
Cattles
and Ramie
on Sactown Sports.
All right, so tonight is game number 41 for the Kings against the Rockets at Golden 1. They have, it's safe to say, exceeded all expectations, Ramie, walking into this game at 22-18. They're the 5th seed now, a half game back behind the Mavs after the Mavs beat the Lakers in double overtime last night. And so we thought it'd be fun to give away some midway point awards. So let's get to it. Some music. Oh. Bam.
You can do the whole song?
I grew up on this, man. I still remember standing in front of my junior high school, my middle school, my buddy John McDonald showing me this cassette tape. Yeah, I said cassette tape. Say something.
I'm not going to say anything.
Wait.
I'm just as old as you. What do you mean? I remember cassette tapes.
Yo, wait for it, man. I know it wasn't like 8-track. Sorry, people out there with the 8-track. I was a little early for me. All right, let's get to it. Let's start with the most important player. Most important player, Ramie. I've got Domas.
I think it's got to be Domas.
No legit backup, right? I mean, no legit backup. His importance to the offense.
The case can obviously be made for Fox, especially with what he's been doing in fourth quarters. But I don't know if Fox can do what he does if Domas isn't down low, and there just aren't too many guys who can do everything that he does from the center position. So I think it's got to be Domas.
I think he also sets the tone.
Yeah,
for this team, and I love that. He's an ultra competitor, works his butt off. The dude is playing with a broken freaking thumb right now. Any disagreements from behind the glass on Domas being the most important player?
No, that was the easy one.
He's that dude.
Yeah.
All right, so we all agree. Clean sweep.
That dude. Good use of that dude.
He is that dude.
Yeah.
Guys being dudes.
All right, let's go to the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise of the first half of this basketball season for the Kings, Ramie?
For me, it's Kevin Huerter, man. I did not know that this guy had all that game. When he was in Atlanta, most of what we saw was a guy who spotted up, caught, and shot when Trae Young decided to share the basketball with him and other members of the Atlanta Hawks team. He does a lot more than that, man. We've seen him create his own shot recently, a recent development in the last few weeks. He's scoring around the basket, even plays a little bit of defense. Still, I don't know if he's a plus defender, but a little bit of defense from a Kevin Huerter. He's been the biggest surprise to me.
Biggest surprise for me is the small ball 5. going into this season, I just thought Rashawn Holmes, Alex Len, Domas, one of those guys behind Domas would step up and they'd be your backup 5. But the fact that you went to Chimezie Metu, who in the world would have ever thought that Chimezie would be getting minutes at the small ball 5 this year? I certainly didn't. Trey Lyles playing small ball 5. What? Who saw it happening? I didn't. Holmes, Len, failing to do much of anything. So the small ball 5 move by Coach Brown is my biggest surprise. You guys behind the glass, what do you got?
Mine would be Harrison Barnes.
Harrison Barnes is a good one.
Like he would it seemed like he would have like great game and then just disappear. Great game, and he's been so consistent this year. There are people who are like, oh, you got to trade Harrison Barnes. Like, no, why? He's been so good.
That's a good one. HB has been so consistent.
For me, it's I've been a hesitant supporter of De'Aaron Fox, and for reason coming into this year, I've always said, prove it to me. You got to show it to me. I need to see that he can be in one. He can be an all-star. He can be a guy to lead the team to the playoffs and a piece to build a championship too. Hey, look, prove me wrong, man. I think he has so far this year. I think he has been playing like a one despite Domas being there. I think he is someone that you should be able to build around moving to the future. And I'm starting to cross the line a little bit to believe that he may be an all-star and a guy that could take us, and I say us because, I'm part of the team,
That's right.
Take us to the promised land.
JJ's the 15th guy on this team.
Yeah,
I thought I saw him on the bench.
Hey, he's there. MC says he became a Kings fan. That's the biggest surprise for him. MC at youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Check us out. Like us. Let's punch that algorithm right in the face. All right. From biggest surprise to biggest disappointment, Macloff.
This is hard. It's hard to find a lot of disappointments on this roster, isn't it? I don't know that I necessarily see what. Maybe Rashawn Holmes. I thought he could maybe contribute a little bit more as in the backup center rotation. I don't think you can call Davion Mitchell a disappointment, can you? I'm going with Rashawn Holmes on this one. I had a really tough time coming up with an answer to this.
I am certainly not disappointed in being able to watch JJ dance behind the glass of this beat.
I missed that.
I love it. I love it. My biggest disappointment is the defense. I didn't expect this defense to be great, but it's the fact that we had the defensive ebbs and flows we've had, right? Like, I thought that we would see this team struggle at the beginning, learning Mike Brown's system defensively, putting the pieces together and all of that. It felt like they made that step a few weeks back. The defense was looking good. I was all pumped and jacked about them maybe finishing in the top 15-ish or so. And then they fell back. They cratered. And now they sit 24th in the league. I mean, we're halfway through the season. This team is 24th in defensive rating. Coach Brown, his calling card is defense. I thought he would improve this defense. It has not improved enough yet. I'm still hopeful, but I'm disappointed that they sit 24th. Verlad.
Mine would be there hasn't been like a second winning streak. You got that big 7-game one at the beginning of the season. And since then, it's kind of been win 2, lose 1.
Yep.
Win 1, lose 2. So, I mean, the good thing is there hasn't been a big losing streak, but I'd like to see them go on a run again.
Hopefully, don't see one of those. JJ, biggest disappointment.
Yeah, for me, it's the protecting of the home court advantage. I think they fell short. I think you guys, meaning you, Nick, Ramie, you guys have done a fantastic job over the last week and a half about really pressing home the fact that the Kings have an opportunity right now to take the next step and jump in front of some guys. And I just haven't seen that. They beat the Rockets, they got the Magic, things like that. But you got to take some next steps. And I think at home was the place that I was believing they could do it.
All right, let's move on to the 8th man. This is from Verlad. We all know, look,
fantastic.
We know the 6th man is Malik Monk, right? And then we got Davey on the 7th man. The best 8th man of the first half so far.
The best 8th man on this team.
I'm going to go, and this might be a little controversial.
Could I get
I'm going to go with Chimezie Metu. Because if you don't have Metu, you literally would have absolutely nobody behind Domas. I'm not telling you he's been great at all times, but at least he's been somebody you could go to help spell Domas.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, if that was – could you imagine if they were stuck? Sorry, all due respect for Rashawn Holmes and Alex Len. They obviously have played way more NBA games than this guy has at 5'7". But, you look at it.
Don't sell yourself short, Nick.
I see what you did there. I just got to say, if you didn't have Chimezie and the revelation of the small ball 5 happen, you'd be up a creek without a paddle right now. So I'm going to go with Metu.
For me, it was between Metu and Trey Lyles. And since you took Metu, I'm going to take Trey Lyles. And it's not just recency bias and what he did in that last game with putting up 20 and just taking over in the fourth quarter. He's had a couple of stretches where for 2 or 3 games, he was one of your more reliable guys coming off the bench. So I'm going to go with Trey Lyles. And I think he also brings that small ball 5 element when Mike Brown decides to go that route.
That's my guy, Trey. I just looked it up. I'm like, I wonder how he's done at the games I've gone to.
Oh,
16 points, 14 points, 20 points.
Oh,
the one loss that the Kings had, Lyles didn't play.
The Vlad voodoo absolutely works for Trey Lyles.
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of synergy there.
Trey Lyles should buy you season tickets.
I was going to say, Trey Lyles should put you on his payroll, man.
I just said
you
that
should be
to
with
him.
his crew.
Put him right behind the bench.
Can you see Lyles walking into Golden One and Vlad behind him with shades on? Vlad's got one of those big old.
You would see me when they're doing the drip walk, like.
He's got the Louis bag in his
I was
hand.
gonna say, Vlad's got the Louis bag and he's got the fur coat on. He's just walking behind him.
For some reason, wearing the defensive player of the game chain for no good reason.
Like, Vlad's no longer with Sactown Sports. What happened, man? You guys let him go? Nah, man. You didn't see him on Wednesday night walking in the
Trey
Golden One
Lyles
with Trey
put him
Lyles.
on the payroll for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, same thing for me is Trey. January, he's averaging 9.3 points. Coming into the season, it was 2 guys I was really focused on taking the next step was Trey Lyles and TD, Terrence Davis. I think Lyles is there. 8th man, that's my guy. He's got my award.
Last one, most entertaining. Most entertaining aspect of the first half, most entertaining player. It's wide open. I'm going with the light the beam thing. Because I did not.
Yeah,
who thought Light the Beam was going to take over like it has? It's been fantastic.
That's pretty great. I do like that. I think another mention of the DPOG chain. I think that's an entertaining element of this team. For me, it's the style of play, and I know we've heard from a few people recently who don't love the all in on the 3-point shot method that the Kings have taken this year. I love it, man. I love the style of play. I love how fast they move up and down the court and the way this team just launches without hesitation and finds good shots while doing it. So for me, it's all the threes and the style of play that we've seen from the offense.
I'm going to go with Malik Monk.
That's another inspector.
When he's cooking,
when
he's cooking, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going with the obvious, man. We started with DeMontis. I'm finishing with DeMontis. I think he is, Nick, you've seen it better than I did. I thought he was going to be good, but he's borderline great, man. This dude is knocking on the door of a top 20 guy in the league if he's not there in your eyes. I think he's got the next step of being a triple-double machine. I think he's right there.
So there you have it. Our first half awards for the Kings as they get ready to play game number 41 tonight at Golden One against the Rockets. Better win this game.
They will. I'm in the building. They're going to win.
Ramie's in the building. In 90 seconds, we preview Seahawks Niners with Michael Sean DeGar of The Athletic.
Join the Sacramento Kings on Thursday, January 26th for the Kingpin. Cattles and Ramie.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
All right, we'll get back to Kings a little bit later on, but of course, the other big story today is getting you ready for the Seahawks and Niners tomorrow. And right now, joining us on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline, Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop, is Michael Sean DeGar from The Athletic. Michael Sean, thank you. We appreciate your time, my man, as always. How surprised are you that we're actually talking about the Seahawks being in the playoffs this year?
It depends on how far back you want to go. If you ask me in August, I'd be very surprised. If you ask me in October, I'd be like, well, I'm surprised they're not hosting a playoff game. And if you ask me around Christmas, I'd be like, well, yeah, that is pretty surprising. So it's kind of gone in waves a little bit. They had no expectations. They came out not very good. Then they got hot as any team in the league. Then they stunk for a little bit after they came back from Germany. And they finished strong. So, I mean, that's basically how you get to 9-8, right? You just be wildly inconsistent for most of the year and hope that, you can finish above 500 and somebody helps you get in like the Lions did last week.
I saw Pete Carroll said his reaction to getting in the playoffs is obviously happy, but then said, unfortunately, we got the 49ers, and waxed poetic about how good a football team this is. Has he been playing that underdog card all weekend and talking with you guys in the media out there in Seattle?
Not necessarily. I mean, even the unfortunately part was kind of said in jest. I mean, he just kind of acknowledged, like you said, the team's just really good. But from Pete Carroll's view, I mean, this is a guy with the Super Bowl and several playoff wins and several playoff losses as well. He knows that eventually you have to beat a team this good to get to the Super Bowl or to win one, in general. Sometimes you'd rather that be, in the Super Bowl, right? But if it has to be wild card weekend, so be it. From the Seahawks view, if you beat a team this good, you probably can go to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's quite unlikely that the Seahawks do win, but he hasn't really embraced the underdog thing, largely because he likes to emphasize that he's always trying to win a championship. Yeah, remember, he's not in year 2 or 3 like some of these newer coaches. This is like year 13. So, you don't really have time to rebuild or anything or tell the owner of the team, yeah, this might be a 6-11 year. Just give me the millions anyway. Nah, man, he's trying to win every year. So that's kind of been the mindset he's drilled to us.
Michael Sean DeGar from The Athletic is with us. Obviously, we can look at the numbers from Geno Smith. He's been a great story this year. But, game to game this season, how good has he truly been, Michael Sean, when you've watched him this year?
Yeah, he's been really impressive at just like the hard parts of playing quarterback, because I think not everybody's numbers are gathered the same. For example, like Jared Goff's numbers this year are great. They're like outstanding just for anybody, but let alone a quarterback like Jared Goff. And you go watch the Lions and you see that there's kind of the training wheels on the offense, like a lot of under center stuff, a lot of play action, drop back to help protect him. His line is also very good. And there's a few quarterbacks operating that way. That's kind of how, Baker Mayfield was going under Sean McVay, so to speak. But Geno, you look at him, and it's a lot more just drop back. He's good out of empty formations. Like he does all that stuff really well to the point where you can see why after the Niners lost in week 2 here, people was like, you know what? Let's let him throw. Because he came in, kind of put the training wheels on him a little bit, right, like he did with Russ early in his years. And then he's like, you know what? Nah, this guy can handle a big boy offense. We just drop back, go empty, go shotgun, go pistol, and just kind of let him cook.
Do you think they're all in on Geno Smith moving forward as a QB of the future, at least the next few years?
Well, it depends on what you mean by they. I think Pete Carroll would be fine with Geno Smith in 2023. He believed in him before this season. There's no reason for him to believe in him any less after this season. But it's still, a front office that did want to trade Russell Wilson. Pete said it last March. He was like, I tried to get Russ to stay. An indication that the move was, forced upon him kind of by the GM. So I'd be interested to see how that goes this offseason. Can Pete Carroll and John Schneider agree on A, keeping Geno Smith, B, paying Geno Smith? They could want the same things, to win a championship, but they may not agree on like resource allocation. John Schneider is the general manager, and he was really big on Drew Lock at the Senior Bowl in 2019. So I know he still loved Drew. Does he think that Drew Lock at $2 million
is better than Geno Smith at $25 million, you know, relative to talent and resources allocated. That'll be a fascinating question to kind of study for the rest of the offseason. But I think if it's just up to Pete, he rolls with Geno for at least the next couple of years.
Michael Sean DeGar from The Athletic is with us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Michael Sean, you know, Kenneth Walker has under 60 yards rushing in the prior two matchups. Any chance the Seahawks can pull the upset without Walker having a significant impact tomorrow?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, only because there's just so many other aspects of a game that can be fluky. I mean, we really look at some of the playoff games in the past, not just between these two guys or whatever, just in general, and look at how many times the better team didn't win because of something so random, like a bad call or, you know, a punt maybe scraping a guy's arm or something like that, or a field goal doinking or a field goal doinking and sneaking through. Just whatever, you know, a drop ball, a tipped ball that leads to a big turnover or whatever, or drop in the end zone. There's just so many fluky things about football. So I think it's possible. I also think what could happen is like maybe a little regression or like a rookie wall-ish type of thing on Brock's part. Like from the film I've watched, Brock's been nails. Right? This doesn't look fluky at all, but he's still a rookie quarterback at the end of the day. You easily could just get a stinky day from him, or just some explosive plays allowed by the defense on the Niners' part that just haven't been allowed, whether it's like a guy slips and falls, you know, a random busted coverage. You just never really know. So I don't think Ken has to go for like 200 yards from the win. I do think the Seahawks can win in some other ways, by attacking them through the air with explosive plays, or just the natural flukiness that comes with an NFL playoff game.
Yeah, you went over a lot of things that could happen. I sensed a bit of skepticism in your voice as to whether or not those things will happen. What do you think happens in this game tomorrow afternoon between the 49ers and the Seahawks?
Yeah, I think this will be one of those games where the Niners come out and just make it really hard for the Seahawks to function early, which has happened actually in both games. That defense is just so good. I was watching film on them last night. There's just not a lot of room to throw. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the Seahawks have really struggled with yards after the catch, in particular against these guys. Well, against everyone, but particularly against the Niners. Like, even when their guys catch it, they're getting rocked. You catch it, then Dre Greenlaw tackles it. You catch it, then Travaris Ward pushes you out of bounds. Like, there's just not a lot of room. It's just hard to think and dunk your way up and down the field against these guys. And if you do find yourself in the third and long, Nick Bosa might throw your quarterback, you know, out of the stadium. So I think the Niners win. I think the Seahawks do that thing where they rally and score some points late, maybe to make the score look respectable. But I do think the Niners defense will just be too much to overcome tomorrow.
His name is Michael Sean DeGar. You can check him out at The Athletic. We appreciate you. Let's do it again sometime soon.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Again, there goes Michael Sean DeGar. He was on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. So he likes himself some Brock Purdy. You know, who would have ever thought if we were talking months ago? Oh yeah, Brock Purdy versus Geno Smith, wild card weekend.
Purdy,
like what? Who?
It's amazing. I really don't know if we make enough of that. What a wild dude! They're on a 10-game winning streak, and 5 of those have been with Mr. Irrelevant in his rookie year at quarterback. That's insane. That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. We said when he took over, if this team makes a deep playoff run or wins the Super Bowl, it'll be one of the greatest quarterback stories that's been told in the NFL.
It'll go right up there with Kurt Warner, I think, is another one you got to bring up, because he was like bagging groceries before he went to the NFL and won a Super Bowl and won an MVP. So, yeah, I mean, I think it will be one of the greatest stories. And I think it'll be one of the greatest sports stories we've seen. Again, dude that was drafted, at least in my lifetime, guy that was drafted, Mr. Irrelevant, walks in and leads you to a Super Bowl. It'd be an incredible, incredible story. And I'm here for it.
It's wild.
Be a lot of fun to see if it plays out that way. 916-339-1140 is the text line, of course. Don't forget, you can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Sactown Sports 1140. It is 4:24 on this Friday. Time check brought to you by West Coast Men's Health Acoustic Wave Therapy. Do we believe in Brock Purdy? We were just talking about him. Do we believe in Brock Purdy as we head into the playoffs? Our answer is next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Rockets. As always, we have you covered with all the action here on Sac Sports 1140. The action kicks off following the Cattles and Ramie Show. Game night begins the coverage with Scott Marsh and HT Henry Turner. The pregame show follows that, which leads up to the tip at 7 o'clock with the G-Man Gary Gerald on the call. The festivities jump off at 5:30. Before the Kings get going, there's 3 games currently in action. The Pistons are trailing the Pelicans 27-26 with 3 minutes left in the first. Indiana has a slight lead over the Hawks, 18-16 with 4 minutes left in the first. And the Knicks, they're taking on the Wizards. They lead Washington 17-12 with 2 minutes left in the first. Spinning over to the NFL down the coast in LA, we have some news from both teams occupying SoFi. Sean McVay alerted the organization today that he's returning to the Rams sideline and will remain head coach, while the Chargers got some bad news regarding wide receiver Mike Williams, as he suffered a small fracture in his back that will require him to be out 2 to 3 weeks. He will not be available for this week's game. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. Do you believe in Brock Purdy? Let the fellas tell you if they do. It's more of the Cattles and Ramie Show. It's coming up right now.
One brings Macloff magic, while the other,
We're still trying to figure that out.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
We'll get back to the Kings in a little bit, but we want to continue the conversation about the Niners, Seahawks tomorrow, Santa Clara. First playoff game of the weekend, super wild card weekend happening in the NFL. And what we got here, Ramie, what we have here is a Purdy playoff game. A Purdy playoff game. It's the first playoff game of Brock Purdy's career.
Of the Brock Purdy era.
Brock Purdy era.
Yes.
As Ramie has so wonderfully coined it.
Yes.
So, when you look at this, I think the question still remains what we should expect from Brock Purdy. Here was his head coach, Kyle Shanahan, talking about the quarterback this week.
I think he's gotten better and better each week for us. I thought his best week was last week, and not just by stats and results or anything, but just watching some of the things he's done, things he's improved at. And he came here doing pretty damn good also. So he's done that throughout. I think that was going to be regardless. But I'm sure that helps with some motivation to him too.
Do you believe in Brock?
What do you mean by believe in Brock Purdy? Can we get some clarification on what it means to believe in Brock Purdy?
Do you believe that he's a quarterback that can help lead his team to a Super Bowl victory? If you'd like me to really drill down on a specific for you, Ramie.
No rookie QB has ever won a Super Bowl, right? Am I right about that? No rookie QB has ever won a Super Bowl. It'd be really hard for me, even though I've come a long way on Brock Purdy, man, and I keep saying it's not necessarily about do I believe in Brock Purdy as a guy who can lead you to a Super Bowl, but is he good enough that he won't lose you a game, that he doesn't cost you your Super Bowl chances? I still believe that, man. I just find it hard to believe when I step back and take a look at the big picture that Mr. Irrelevant is going to be the first rookie quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. That would be wild, Nick. That we just talked about it before the break. It would be one of the craziest, if not the craziest thing that's happened in the history of the NFL.
I'm not telling you that they're going to win, but I am going to tell you that I believe this team can win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy as the quarterback. It can happen. Again, I'm not guaranteeing it, but do I believe it can happen? Yeah, I believe that they can win. I believe that they can win. I believe that they can win and make this run. And it's not necessarily about Brock Purdy. It's about this team. Let's start with the system. It's about the play calling. It's about the scheme, right? It's about Kyle Shanahan taking care of Mr. Irrelevant. It's about Shanahan putting Purdy in position to make the right play at the right time. It's relying on others that are within this system to really do most of the heavy lifting. I mean, just listen to Pete Carroll this week when he's talking about the Niners offense.
He doesn't try to carry the load all on his own shoulders. He's got guys that can make plays for him. So that their offense is
structured to get the ball in the guy's hands, and they're really quick with their throws, and ball gets on the perimeter a lot quickly, to give guys a chance to catch and run. They're a really effective catch and run team. If you look at their yards after catch, they're as good as anybody's been. They're for a couple of years now, they've been really good at it. Good players for one, but also the scheme, puts them in those situations. And it hasn't really changed with the quarterback changes. That stat and that factor has remained. So that's system and that's coaching.
System, that's coaching. Says there's really not much different that they're doing with Brock than they've done with other quarterbacks in the past, and they rely on the weapons and the legs of other players. And the weapons are so legit on this team. This is the best assortment of weapons that Shanahan has had with the Niners. I mean, from top on down, you could look at the quarterback. I'm talking about the skill position players. Yeah. When you've got Debo, you've got Ayuk. Jawan Jennings has done a decent job when he's been called upon. You also have Juszczyk, who is an all-pro fullback. George Kittle, all of a sudden, since Purdy took over, has been reborn within this offense. Run CMC is ridiculous. So the weapons that they have, Purdy doesn't have to do a ton. He doesn't have to do, as I just said, a lot of the heavy lifting. He just has to take care of the football and make the right play when the play is called.
It's a point we made about Trey Lance when the season started with him as the starter, Nick, which is that he wasn't a rookie, but we were saying no first-year starter and guy who's being handed the keys to a team has maybe ever been put in as good a position as Trey Lance was or as Brock Purdy is now. And it's not just about the weapons around him. When you have a defense as good as the 49ers run out there, it changes the way your offense plays and the things that you do and the things that you ask of a quarterback and an offense to do. Yeah, he's in a great position to succeed. He's in a great position to be along for the ride, as long as, he's not the flat tire at the end of the day. Let me throw this at you, though. Let me throw a hypothetical at you, though.
Okay.
Nick. Let's say Brock Purdy turns into a pumpkin.
Yes. Purdy the pumpkin, you say.
But somehow the 49ers...
You didn't like that?
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Somehow the 49ers...
Pumpkin Purdy? Better?
That's even better. They make it to the NFC Championship.
Yes.
And Jimmy Garoppolo is ready. Because Kyle Shanahan said last week, it is looking like Jimmy Garoppolo could be ready by the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl.
Let's hear from the coach himself.
Is there any sort of status update on Garoppolo and, UFC Championship game, Super Bowl type timeline? Are you ready?
You just answered your own question. That's still the goal. That's still the goal.
He's not able to put weight on that foot yet, is he?
I think he could put a little weight on it, but he's not out there running and stuff like that. So, it's a little bit of ways.
Let's say you win a sloppy game in the rain this week, like 10-7.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the one touchdown.
I hope not. I don't want to watch a 10-7 sloppy game.
The one touchdown they scored was like on an INT return for a touchdown. And then somehow they get through next week. It's like 13-6, and Brock Purdy looks very ordinary. And like I said, he looks like he's turned into the pumpkin finally that we all expected when Mr. Irrelevant took over as the starting quarterback. Is there any way you're going to Jimmy G in the NFC Championship game?
Probably not. I'd probably stick with Purdy. I think it's a relevant question to ask if Jimmy G is healthy, and that line of, scenario kind of goes the way you just kind of pitched it to me. If you have a bad offensive game tomorrow, bad weather, and then the next weekend you get another bad offensive game and you're just scraping by because your defense is great, I would stick with Purdy, though, because I don't know what to expect with Jimmy G. It's not like I don't necessarily believe Jimmy G will be able to parachute in with his cape on after missing a couple of months and be like, I'm taking you to the Super Bowl. I don't see it. I don't see that. So, and let's not forget what Jimmy G looked like when he had to parachute into this season. The first week was atrocious. So I'd probably stick with Purdy. If Purdy goes off the rails at the beginning of that game, then maybe out of desperation, I'd pull the trigger. But I think this is Brock Purdy's team for the rest of this year.
Yeah, I'm probably with you. I do have to consider. I would have to think long and hard about it, though. If Brock Purdy doesn't look good in these two games and somehow you get through, it's something you got to consider. And I'm definitely going into that NFC Championship game and saying if things get ugly early, I might have to go to Jimmy G at some point in this game because you're right. His first start was atrocious. But remember when he came in for Trey Lance mid-game when he got injured?
Yeah.
And the offense started moving like it hadn't to that point. I mean, we're talking a game and a half into the season, but it started moving like we hadn't seen it to that point in the offense. And that, I think, goes back to the element of surprise to the defense of this isn't the quarterback you prepared for all week. I would definitely consider pulling the trigger mid-game if things aren't going as planned. But, yeah, I think you got to stick with Brock Purdy at this point.
Over-unders and more coming up.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Your afternoon home for Kings talk and more
This is Cattles and Ramie.
on Sactown Sports.
Happy Friday, everybody.
check.
Long weekend coming up. Call me out.
I mean, yeah. You call me out every time I do it. Yeah, I'm calling you out.
Because you do it all the time.
By the way, call me out.
How do I not call you out
For
when you do it 10 times a show?
You should be calling me out today.
You've actually done a better job recently.
And being remiss.
That's me complimenting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And not telling people vote Kings. Your vote is worth 3 today.
Frankly, a terrible job.
I
by
know.
you. You're supposed to be at the front of the line here,
I
letting
know.
everybody know. And
I'm
you've dropped
sorry.
The ball. And Verlad was right to call you out in the chat.
I mean, I said I'd do it once an hour. I missed one in the 3 o'clock hour. There's my 4 o'clock hour mention to vote Kings and get 3 votes for the price of 1 today at NBA.com or on Twitter. Vote Kings. Don't let your guys down. I mean, it's okay if you don't. I'm not judging anybody. You know what I mean? It's all right.
Did you pass it by Dave?
Everybody love everybody. But you should.
Did you pass it by Dave?
No.
Is it okay?
I'm sure Dave is okay with that, right? To encourage people to vote Kings.
I would hope so.
I'm not judging. I'm not saying be better. You know what I mean?
No, you said that yesterday by doubling down. Be even better, I think you said.
It's like keep being better.
All right, keep being better. All right, let's before we get to the over-unders this weekend for a super wild card weekend in the NFL, and we will get back to your Kings in 15 minutes time as they get ready to play the 41st game of the season against the Rockets tonight at the G1C. So Seattle, we've been talking about the Seahawks and Niners, and look, everybody understands that the Seahawks are the underdog here, right? I mean, the Niners are minus 9.5 on the line. So Vegas is telling you that the Niners should win this game by around 10 points or so. And some teams like being the underdog. And I think Pete Carroll this week, we just had Michael Sean DeGar on the show a little while ago. You can check out that interview on the podcast if you'd like, sactownsports.com, before watching the game tomorrow. Get your Seahawks info from DeGar. But I know Michael Sean said, hey, look, Pete, he really wasn't like embracing the underdog role. And that's true. I'll take Michael Sean's word for it. He's there every day and he's covering the team and he talks to the coach. But I do think there was a message sent by Pete Carroll when he said this, right when he found out that the Niners would be his competition tomorrow.
We love the Lions. Coach Campbell did a great job with his crew, and they played a fantastic football game to get the win, to give us the chance. So we're going to try to do something with it. Unfortunately, we're playing the Niners, and they're loaded and healthy and on a roll and about as hot as you could possibly get, and doing it in a really commanding fashion too. With the young quarterback who's doing so well, just kind of would buck the odds. That everybody would think you could do that, and everybody in the media anyway. We'll see how we get our guys back for this weekend. It's coming up quick with the Saturday ball game, and we've already started our week and we're underway.
So again, it's not like he went out and gave the rah-rah, how are we going to beat this team?
Nobody thinks we can do this.
But he knew the message he was sending when he just rattled off all the stuff that this team's absolutely loaded and, they got a young quarterback who's playing great. And then he took a little poke at the media. The message was sent. He's telling us, right? Oh, well, we're going against Goliath here. He doesn't have to necessarily say it clearly and say, we're going against Goliath. And Tyler Lockett, Seahawks wide receiver, he continued that message.
We got such a young team, and when you hear about all the stuff that was said about us from the beginning of the year all the way until now, I mean, if nobody expected us to be here, it's like nobody expects us to win, like outside of our building. We believe that we can win, but nobody else does. Like, nobody thought that we would be able to do any of the things that we were able to do. Everybody was shocked we even got into the playoffs. And so, I mean, for us, it's like, man, we're just going to go out there and just play free. Like, we're not going to play with any worries. We don't really care what the weather is going to be like. Like, we really don't care about any of that stuff. We just going to play like we got nothing to lose.
Lockett understands the mission, right? We got nothing to lose. Hey, look, we're going against this unbelievable football team. We're going to let it all hang out.
We're not even supposed to be here.
Yep.
And really, they're not. And
speaking the truth,
I know a lot of people probably roll their eyes when they hear stuff like that from players and from coaches. It's a common theme, right? Almost every year you'll see the bottom seeded team in a conference talk in this fashion. Hey, nobody expected us to be here. Nobody thinks we can win. Nothing to lose. It does get old and cliche at some point, but I always say when it comes to being a professional athlete and having to compete night in, night out, or week in, week out, when it comes to the case in the NFL, anything you can do, like whatever mind tricks you can play on yourself. In this case, he's telling the truth and everything that he just said right there about the advantages the 49ers have over the Seahawks. But even when guys are lying to themselves, like I remember a couple of years ago, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were playing the underdog card when they're the Patriots, man. Like they're a dynasty, and they came into the season going, nobody thinks we can do this. Nobody expects us to be here, blah, blah, blah.
BSing the people in this country.
I say keep BSing the people of this country. Keep BSing yourself. Like whatever you need to do to find that extra gear and get you ready for that week, go ahead and do it, man. Whatever bulletin board material, whatever underdog card you want to play, it's perfectly fine in my book, and it makes perfect sense because it's not easy to dial up that intensity every week and do what these guys do.
All right, let's quickly run through some over-unders here, getting you ready for a super wild card weekend. Seahawks, Niners, 42.5.
Seahawks, 42.5. I'm going to take the under. Weather is going to play a factor, and I just don't think that Seattle offense is very high-powered or hasn't been of late. I'm taking the under.
I'm also taking the under for the same reasons.
Same thing.
Yep, weather. Go the under. Chargers, Jaguars, 47.5.
I'm going to take the over on this one. I think I like the matchup of young QBs here. I'm taking the over.
I'm going to take the under. I don't see the Chargers scoring that much.
No Mike Williams. That's a factor.
I actually going to take the under, but I say the opposite. I don't see the Jags scoring that much this weekend.
I'm going under. I think Jacksonville will run the football a lot, or at least try to slow this game down, keep Herbert off the field. And, no Mike Williams, less explosive offense. I'd go under. Dolphins, Bills, 43.5.
Under because no Tua. I don't see the Dolphins holding up their part of 43.5.
Skylar Thompson.
Although if Buffalo goes for 40, all you
never
need is
told us who that actor was that you were talking about.
Yeah, you never looked it up, Ramie.
I don't need to. I remember. I still don't. Like I was just saying, if Buffalo scores 30, you just need 2 touchdowns from Miami. I still don't see it happen. I'm going to take the under.
I'm also going to under. I mean, Miami, I can't see them doing anything.
I'm going to take the under barely. I think the Dolphins scored 10. I'm not sure if Buffalo puts up 35. Give me the under.
Yeah, clean sweep. I think the Bills can get 24, 27, somewhere around there for their points. But I don't see, aside from turnovers or something crazy happening, I don't see Miami being able to move the ball consistently enough to score more than, let's say, 14 or so. Giants, Vikings, 48.
I'm going to take the over on this one. That the MO for the Vikings has been get down big early and then throw up big numbers to come back late. I'm not saying it necessarily plays that according to that script, but somehow, some way, I see a lot of points going up on the board in this one.
I'm going to take the under to get away from what Ramie's doing.
All right.
There you go. The opposite Ramie strategy.
I'm taking the over. I could see a 27, 24, 25, 20. Yeah, give me the over.
I'm going to go under. I think the Giants defense will have some stuff ready for Kirk Cousins, and that'll slow down Minnesota a little bit to begin this game. Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, not really known as big game quarterbacks. So I'll go with the under. Ravens, Bengals, 40.5.
I'll take the over despite no Lamar Jackson. I mean, yeah, because since he can put up 24 or 30 points, you're just looking for 10 to 14 points from Baltimore. Even without Lamar Jackson, I think they can do that.
I'm going under. I don't think Baltimore's going to score anymore.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going over. I'll take the Ravens to keep it closer than what most people think, and I think the Bengals at least score 3 to 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'll go over with Cincy's ceiling, so I'll go over that. I don't think it'll be much over, but I will go over. Cowboys, Bucks, finish it up at 45.5.
45.5. Yeah, I could see this being a shootout. Dallas's defense hasn't been very good lately. Tom Brady has turned it up a little bit here of late. I think Dallas can keep up, so I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the under because that's the strategy for today. All unders. Not trusting anyone.
Oh,
look at that. All unders for
he always tells us his strategy at the end, and I never pick it up as we're going along.
He's a little tricky.
That he's doing something, that he's up to something over there.
Those boys in Vegas know what they're doing. 45.5 is exactly where I would like to see a 24-21 game. I'm going to take the over. I trust Tom Brady, and Tom Brady we trust.
I go under. I don't trust this Dallas offense right now, and I think Tampa's defense will be good enough. So I'll go with the under. I went with 1 over, Ravens Bengals. So a lot of unders for me as well. So there you have it, the over-unders for this super wild card weekend. By the way, your chance to win a pair of tickets right now. 916-339-1140 is the text line. 916-339-1140, again, is the text line. And what's the word of the day?
Bass.
Bass. So what can you win? You can win a pair of tickets to the International Sportsman's Expo 2023 happening next week, the 19th through the 22nd at Cal Expo, the region's largest presentation of travel destinations, gear, and services. Again, you can text the word BASS to 916-339-1140, and one of you lucky listeners will win the pair of tickets. Ramie and I predict the second half of the season for the Kings next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
It's Houston again. The Kings are back in action tonight as they complete the double dip with the Rockets. As always, we have you covered with all the action here on Sac Sports 1140. The action kicks off following the Cattles and Ramie Show. Game night begins the coverage with Scott Marsh and HT Henry Turner. The pregame show follows that, which leads up to the tip at 7 o'clock with the G-Man Gary Gerald on the call. The festivities jump off at 5:30. Before the Kings get going, there's 4 games in action. At the moment, we have 3 games in the second quarter as the Pistons trail the Pelicans 48-42 with 5 minutes left. The Pacers and Hawks, they're tied at 49 with 4 minutes left, while the Washington Wizards lead the Knicks 47-41. They're 1 minute out from halftime. Just getting going, Steph Curry and the Warriors, they're taking on the Spurs. They lead 17-4 with 7 minutes left in the first. Spinning over to the NFL down the coast in L.A., we have some news from both teams occupying SoFi. Sean McVay alerted the organization today that he's returning to the Rams sideline and will remain head coach, while the Chargers got some bad news regarding wide receiver Mike Williams as he suffered a small fracture in his back that will require him to be out 2 to 3 weeks. He will not be available for this week's game. Those are your Sac Sports 1140 headlines. I'm Jay Johnson. It's 5 o'clock, which means more of the Cattles and Ramie Show coming up next.
With you 1 mile at a time during the afternoon drive. Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
All right, back to the Kings we go, getting ready for game number 41 tonight at Golden One, of course. Game night coming up in less than a half hour. It should be a good time. And then we got the pregame, then we get the game, then we got the postgame. We got the recap show at the YouTube page, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Ramie, my preseason prediction for this team was 37-45. They're now 22-18, which means for them to meet the level of my expectation before this season tipped, they would have to go 14-27, 15-27.
I'll take your word for it.
So 15-27 is what would be needed to get to 37 wins, right?
They better be better than that.
15 more wins. What was your preseason pick?
I think I said 40, if I remember correctly. I said they'd win 40 games, but I went on the record last week.
I'm not talking last week. I'm talking preseason.
I know. I said 40 to start the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vlad, what was your preseason prediction?
I believe I was stricken with COVID.
Oh, sorry to bring up a bad memory.
So let's just say I would have said, I'm pretty sure I would have been confident in 38.
I was going to say, what were you home dreaming up in your fever dreams about the Sacramento
You're all
Kings
foggy. What were you thinking? JJ, what was yours? You remember?
Oh, I'm not up yet. There you go. I believe it was 35,
All right.
34, 35.
So Chris and JJ were around 35. I was at 37. You were at 40.
Mm-hmm.
What's your second half prediction, Ramie?
I think they end up winning 50 games. That's what I was just about to say. I went on
50.
I went on the record last week saying they end up with 50. And
Ramie, get the Kings win 50.
I stand by it. And Nick, we talked about the schedule, how difficult it was in the first half of this season and how it sort of eases up in the second half when you look at their opponents and the win percentages and everything else. I think there's still room for improvement with the guys that are here on both sides of the court. And you already have one of, if not the best, most prolific offense in this league. I think that can get even better. And I think the defense improves. And that's not even counting on the fact that, well, I don't know if you can say it's a fact, but the possibility, I would say a strong possibility that Monty McNair is going to improve on this roster. I see 50 wins for this team. You said they're what, 22-20? Is that what? No, I'm sorry. What?
22-18.
22-18. Let me do some quick math, if I could, please.
I did the math for you if you want.
Okay, yeah, please do.
The Kings would have to go 28-14.
They can do that. I think they can
28
do that.
28-14.
I think they can
That's
do
steep,
that.
dear Mr. Mackloff.
I will tell you, Ramie, I don't know if this would change your mind, but there were 4 teams last year in the Western Conference that had 50 wins or more.
Yeah, I know. I looked at that already.
Okay. You got Dallas, Golden State, Memphis, and Phoenix. Jazz just under, by the way. They had 49.
People thought I was crazy when I said 40.
Nuggets
I don't
at
mind
48.
people looking at me like I'm crazy.
All right, so Ramie's got him at 50 wins. Vlad, now that you've seen it,
loco,
now that you've seen the first half of the season as we get ready for game 41 tonight, what do you think ends up happening?
I was thinking 37. Did I say 37 or 38? Let's go 47.
47. So Verlad's got 47 wins for the Kings when this season is wrapped up. They need to
also
win
a big
25 more games.
Also a big number.
Let me see if I can do the math quickly. It's 25 and 17 counting tonight's game, right?
Correct.
Wow.
25 and 17. JJ, what do you got?
Yeah, I think they actually win 20 to 21 more games. I've looked at their schedule 3 times today, and I see that March run is I just don't see how that first couple of weeks of March. I don't see where they win a lot of games. I say they win 20 or 21 more games. So give me 21 just to be not have that even number of 20.
All right, so including the game tonight, I think 24 and 18 sounds right to me. They went 22 and 18 so far. 24 and 18 sounds right to me. I believe I have the amount of games correct, right? Yes. I'm looking at Verlad just to make sure I double check my math. I did this earlier before the show. I think I'm right here. 24 and 18. That would give them 46 wins. So I've got them at 46. So Ramie's got them at 50. Verlad's got them at 47.
I got them 43.
I've got them at 46, and JJ's got them at 43. And I'll tell you why I've got them at 46. I saw the other day that they have like the 7th or 8th easiest schedule the rest of the way in the NBA. They have played one of the toughest schedules in the league so far. So if they can finish 22 and 18 against one of the tougher schedules in the NBA, and they're looking at a top 7 or 8 easy schedule the rest of the way, then they should at least even what they've done in the first 40-ish, because you can't play 42 because tonight's 41, obviously. But to be somewhere around that number, and that's why I feel pretty comfortable saying 24 and 18 after going 22 and 18 against a much tougher schedule. So that's the first thing, is this schedule will ease up for the most part. I also think we're only halfway through the year, and Coach Brown's system, Ramie, is going to take hold. I think we've seen some of it, but I do think this team will get better defensively, and I do think this team will play better as they get more used to the system and to their teammates.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in, I mean, you would hope in the big picture of things, the early stages of the Mike Brown era, halfway into his first season, but you would think there's a few years to the Mike Brown tenure as head coach, and it takes time. Like, we're not just talking about the basketball principles that he's trying to instill. We've talked a lot throughout the season about him changing the culture, Nick. That doesn't happen overnight. I know it seems like there's a lot of buy-in with it right now, but I think there's still room for growth, both on the court and off the court. You got a lot of new faces, a lot of guys who came into the season, hadn't played together, hadn't played all that much together before this year. I think there's still a lot of room for growth with this basketball team, mostly on the defensive side of things. And like I said before, I think there are moves on the horizon, some kind of moves to at least marginally improve this roster and get you some of the help that you need when we talk about a backup center, when we talk about a wing. I can't imagine the Kings just sit back with the mandate, with the win now mandate, make the playoffs now mandate, just sit back and let the trade deadline come and go without making some kind of move and without using the cap space that we talked about yesterday, being one of 6 teams in the league that's actually a legitimate playoff contender and has significant cap space to play with. I can't see them wasting those resources and those opportunities given the urgency to make the postseason that they came into this year with.
Yeah, that's another point that I would absolutely bring up as to why I'd be comfortable saying they could win 46 games this season because of the trade deadline. I mean, I have to imagine you're going to add. Look, if Monty does not add at the trade deadline, it is a fail. I think we would all agree with that. Right now, you're the 5th seed. You're a half game back behind Dallas in the West. You have a golden opportunity to make a move or two to upgrade your talent and to be even better to get ready for a playoff run. If you fail to upgrade, if you fail to bring additional talent onto the team, that is a big fat zero in my eyes, right? So you have that opportunity. You've got the contracts and money. I did mention this yesterday. The one wrinkle is that you would, I think, have to go back, depending on who you want to bring in. If you're looking to bring somebody in who would be a significant upgrade somewhere, you're going to need a first-round pick. You're likely going to have to go back to Atlanta and rework that Kevin Huerter deal. And you can do that because right now you have a protected pick on the board, right? For that trade. You can go back to Atlanta and you can say, hey, look, we'll give you an unprotected first round pick in this year's draft. And if you do that, then it opens up future picks to trade at the deadline. So you'd have to be aggressive if you were Monty, but I think he's going to be aggressive. I think he's going to look to upgrade, not only because of the mandate, but because this team's good, man. This team is good, and it has a chance to be even better if you add to it. So I do think they'll add at least one piece, if not two, by the trading deadline, which to me says this team will be better. And if this team is better, I don't think it's outrageous to say, oh, they could go 24-18 in the second half.
What about 28-14? Is that outrageous?
I don't know if I'd say outrageous. I'd say very optimistic.
You don't have to,
No, I'd say it's very optimistic.
Sugarcoat. You don't need to protect my feelings. It's okay.
No, what you're saying is they'll win 4 more games than I think they'll win.
Right.
Is that crazy? No, it's not outrageous.
Thank you.
It's not like you're saying, oh, they're going to run off 55 wins or that would be outrageous.
Just to give you kind of an idea of what that would be, the Kings would have to go 28-14. The Nuggets are currently 28-13.
There you go.
All right. I think they can do that.
All right.
That doesn't faze me at all. I think they can do that.
All right, then.
You don't faze me.
Fine, then. Fine. Okay, good. Megadeth Night, YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Don't forget to like us, give us a thumbs up. It's the only way we can get as many eyeballs on the station and brand as we possibly can is by getting those thumbs up because of the algorithm. Megadeth says, I said 42-40, but I think they can totally beat that. Yeah. I think we're at the point, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong here. If this team doesn't get to 500 by the end of the year, it's a major disappointment.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think, at least 42 wins. At least give me 42-40 with where you're at right now. So with the additions that I hope they make and think they will make at the deadline, yeah, I got them at 46 wins. Ramie's got them at 50. Pralad's got them at 47. And JJ's got him at 43. An NFL playoff edition of On the Record in 90 seconds.
Join the Sacramento Kings on Thursday.
Talking reads. I got a lot of them to get through. Ready? 5:14 on a Friday. Time check. Brought to you by West Coast Men's Health Acoustic Wave Therapy.
Vote Kings.
Vote Kings.
Votes are worth 3 today. Every vote is worth 3.
3 times the amount. Also, we spoke with Michael Sean DeGar last hour. If you want to check out that interview, SactownSports.com podcast page. Get your Seahawks info, the preview of the game with Michael Sean DeGar. And Michael Sean was on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline like every guest is. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Before we get to On the Record, I have to bring this up before I forget it. And if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it next week. So there was a conversation. I think it was on the air. And I said to Ramie, the one time you've been at my house, you've never, ever shown up again.
Yes.
And he said, well, you've never been to my place.
Yes.
I told that story to Kelly, and Kelly had the best comeback ever. You know what she said?
What did she say?
You have to be invited over to actually go.
I said, you guys have an open invite. I said that very early on.
Full of it.
Very early on.
Your eyes
I
are
said,
brown.
nope. I said that very
An
early on.
open invite is not an invite.
It is an invite. And
No,
it's
specifically
it's
not.
So I'm going to come by on Wednesday night.
No,
And what's going
just-
on, Ramie?
Hey, what are you doing this weekend? We were thinking about coming by.
That's
And I
not
would
what
say-
you
and
say,
I
though.
would say, yeah. No. If you said to me.
I have to bring up, hey, I was thinking about coming by. That's not you inviting me. That's me inviting myself.
I have an open invite, dude. That's an invite. It's right there in the name.
Anyway.
What are you doing this weekend?
Nope. I'm not going to go there now. I'm not going to go there. We got on the record to get to.
You want to come hang out?
All right, JJ, give us our give us our averages.
Yes, the open invitation to let you guys know. Ramie, you're at 273. You've creeped up a little bit.
Okay.
Nick,
Oh.
you've hey, I must say, Nick, with some of your on the records, you go big or go home.
That's
So
right.
You've missed quite a few here lately. You're at 174.
Oh.
You're under the Mendoza line.
Ooh.
I've dropped substantially. I am hitting 296, and Chris is hitting 328.
All right.
And I hit dingers.
So this is going to be an NFL playoff edition of On the Record. I will start it off. Geno Smith throws more touchdowns tomorrow than Brock Purdy does.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to say a double. I think the Niners are going to run a few more. I'm going
defense?
double. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you know what? I might go triple on that.
Yeah,
one.
you might get triple.
He's the better quarterback, but he's going against a better defense.
All right, I'll take
So
the
I'll
triple.
say triple on that one.
Yeah, Ramie.
Trevor Lawrence will throw for the most yards.
Wonderful ahead of here.
And most touchdowns in Super Wild Card Weekend.
You know, I was going to do this, honestly, but I backed off.
The same exact prediction?
I was going to say that Lawrence was going to have the best statistical weekend out of the quarterback.
So wait, say that one more time.
Trevor Lawrence will have the most yards and most touchdowns of any
He
quarterback.
might also have the most picks.
In Super Wild Card Weekend.
I'll go.
I'll say home run.
I got to go home run. I mean, when Pat Mahomes is playing,
he's not
playing.
playing.
I mean, Josh Allen. I'm sorry. When Josh Allen's playing. All right, yeah, I'll give you a home run for that.
Thank you.
A lot.
Okay, I will say that Brock Purdy, will do something he hasn't done all season.
Oh boy,
he will have less than 2 touchdowns.
Less than 2 touchdowns. I'll give that a single.
Double. Yeah, okay. I'm going double. Ramie, you?
Yeah, that's a double. That's a solid
With
double.
the weather. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. JJ.
Yeah, I'm going same thing kind of. I'm saying Brock Purdy will throw for 200 yards and have 2 touchdowns.
Oh.
Specifically 2 touchdowns?
Home run.
Yes, he will.
Okay.
He will have 2
With
touchdowns.
the weather, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm going to give that a home
that's
run.
a home run. Yeah.
You always got to think about the context of this thing.
Yes.
All right. Every home team will win this weekend. Every home team wins this
Hold
weekend.
on, let me check that out.
Bills, Vikings, Bengals, Bucks.
That's a home run, man. That's a home run.
And the Niners.
If that plays out, that's a home run for me.
Niners,
I like how you thought about
Jaguars,
that.
I mean, what are the
Bills,
chances that
Vikings,
all the home
Bucks.
teams would win?
Yeah, I'll give you a home run on that.
Love it.
That's like a 6-game parlay. Yeah, I gotta give you a
that's
home
tough,
run on
man.
that. That's
See
a
that?
tough
I
one.
made
Yeah.
the bucket.
And he just
Left-handed, by the way.
man's feeling
Offhand.
it. The
Should've
man's
went on the
feeling
record
it.
with that.
All I'm saying is the Kings are looking for what, an 8th man? Right? Did you see that?
I like it.
All right, Ron.
Back around to me. I'm gonna say the Dallas Cowboys lose this weekend, or on Monday, technically. And Mike McCarthy is no longer the Cowboys head coach before the postseason is over.
I'm going to give you like a single because I said that like a week ago.
Okay. It's fine. I'll take a single.
Man, you're bringing the odds down.
Yeah, you're bringing the odds down.
I mean, I know this isn't. You're
jerk.
not the only
What are you
one.
doing?
A lot of people have said this.
You're the worst.
I know I'm not the only one.
Okay, mine's going to be very close to yours, Nick, and I kind of gave a little tease in my picks. The Giants will have the only away team win.
Oh, all right. So the Giants will be the only road team to win this weekend. I'll give it a double because I do think the Cowboys have a chance against the Bucks.
Yeah, that's a double.
You said all the home teams are going to win.
Yeah.
I'm saying that, but then there's going to be odd away. We both are picking every single game.
Right. But I think the chances are I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get that right, is what I'm telling you.
I guess Verlot has a point. I was thinking of it as he's just picking one game, but really he is picking all 6 games and saying they'll be the only road team to win.
Yes.
We got to give him the home run for giving you the home run. I wanted mine to look better than
No,
it's a home run. It's a home run.
JJ, what you got?
I'm saying California teams will have a better record this week than Florida teams.
Ooh. Oh, that's a good one.
That's like a deep.
That is.
That's like a deep thought.
That is. He went deep with that
Deep
one.
thoughts by Jack Handy.
But what if they're both 1-1? You're saying that one?
That's hey, it's a push. Then I would lose.
Okay.
Yeah, he says they'll have a better record. So
I'll go with
let's see.
I'll go with a double because both California teams are
they're favored. Yeah.
So I'll go with a double.
Yeah, that's a solid double. I'll go with double.
All right. Last one. Before I get to my last on the record, I'll tell you that it's time to check out Coastside Medical Clinic, dedicated to providing breakthrough remedies for men.
Vote Kings.
My last one. Tom Brady throws not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys.
Their defense has not been good the second half of the season.
3 TDs for Tommy.
3 is a lot. I'll say triple.
Stick with the 3 triple.
That's fine.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
a
I'll take the triple. Rami.
Christian McCaffrey, run CMC.
Yes. One of the best nicknames still to this day.
Over 100 total yards and 3 touchdowns.
Oh.
In a win over the Seahawks.
Home run.
In a win for the Seahawks.
In a win over the Seahawks.
Oh, in a win over the Seahawks.
Yes.
I was going to say, what does Kenneth Walker do? Run for 305?
That would definitely be a home run. Yes, if I predicted him to do that for the Seahawks.
Christian McCaffrey will run
Home
for 200 yards, score 4 touchdowns, and the Niners will lose.
100 total yards, 3 TDs for Run CMC in a win over Seattle tomorrow afternoon.
Home run.
All right.
Yeah.
Need 1 home run.
Okay, I will go with Josh Allen will have a touchdown pass longer than 50 yards this weekend.
Oh, longer than 50.
Longer than 50.
You don't see those that often, even from a Josh Allen.
I think I saw 2 of them last week watching the game against the Patriots.
That's true. Yeah. That's a home run. I'm going to say home run.
I'll go with a
plus 50 or 50 plus, I should say.
I'll go with a triple or double. Yeah. All right, I'll go with a double. I lean more towards double than home run.
Okay.
I'll go double.
All
right. This one is, I'm going to try to explain it properly here. So I'm going to say 3 first-time quarterbacks who've made it to the play. Three first-time playoff playing-in quarterbacks will win this week. So you have Geno Smith, Brock Purdy, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Skylar Thompson, Daniel Jones.
So you're saying half of those, 3 of those 6 are going to win this week.
Oh, actually, you got Tyler Huntley in there, too.
And Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, so 3 of 7. So I got it about 50%.
What you got for Lod?
I'm going to go I'll go with the triple.
I'm trying to do the math of how many of those quarterbacks are favored and how many are the dogs.
Well, I get 1 because Herbert plays Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Well, you get 2 because Brock Purdy is playing
Geno Smith. Okay, so I got to go 4, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, give me 4.
Double. I'm going to say a double. Given the odds against each of those quarterbacks.
I'll go
in their
double.
Teams. Yeah.
All right. There you go. Double for JJ.
Why are they playing this game at the Alamo Dome?
This bothers you, and I don't know why it bothers you this much.
Understand. Well, first of all, who's going? Like, look at the view right there, right now on our TV.
Yeah, it's like going to an old Final Four game, right? Final Four, like big old.
They put a basketball court in the middle of like a football field.
Yeah, they did that. They do that all the time. The NCAA.
Why would you go to that game to sit up there and watch ants play basketball?
So you can say you went. They have TVs up there.
Be part of history.
Yeah,
they have TVs.
And why is San Antonio? Like, get a good team if you're going to set a record.
Because they are from San Antonio.
I know, but you could have played it at a different. You could have played it in a different.
But then you wouldn't
arena.
have the Alamo Dome record.
No, it's isn't this any basketball game or is this just an Alamo Dome record? I think they're setting the record NBA record. It's not just an Alamo Dome record, it's an NBA record.
Well, I'm sure somebody else will do it.
And also, I've been saying all year, why don't they hand out little purple flashlights at Kings games?
To
recreate the beam, and everybody's been telling me you can't do that for some reason.
Well, I said I don't know if the NBA allows it.
I'm not saying hand out laser beams because people will like point those in someone's eye, but like just little purple flashlights that people can hold up in the air.
This is something you also don't know about. They had something like that in a playoff game, and there was a terrible call, and all the fans threw them on the court.
So you can't give out anything? Because they had flashlights at this game, and at the beginning when they were doing introductions, they turned out the lights, and everybody's holding up their flashlights. Very cool visual.
Was it flashlights, or did they have the wristband thing?
What wristband thing?
It was like the wristband thing that they've had the Kings a couple times where they light up, and so the whole crowd lights up.
I think we got to go, guys.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Okay. I was waiting for the music. Sorry.
I think we can continue the conversation off the air if you'd like. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to JJ. Great job from those two guys as always. Ramie, have a good long weekend. I'm sure I won't see you. Sure I won't see you over the weekend, but enjoy the game tonight as well. Game number 41. Game number 41 tonight. Everybody enjoy it. We're back on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Don't forget what Monday's about. Till Tuesday, Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports.
Hate to see y'all frown, but I'd rather see her smiling. It's all around me, true, but I'm an island, peninsula maybe. Makes no sense, I know crazy. Give up my lap, no looking back. Spaceships don't come equipped with rear view mirrors. They dip as quick as they can. The atmosphere is now ripped.
The only place you'll find De'Aaron Fox is Sactown Sports.
Spins away from the defender, in the paint, soft floater. That's a great play by De'Aaron Fox.
Hey, Sacramento, it's De'Aaron Fox, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sactown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Hi, guys. It's Mark with Coastside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our WAVE technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University.